Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and today we're going to be reviewing 4 different party games from the op. We're going to be covering Dadada, a language building game. We're going to be covering Blank Slate, a game where you and your partner want to be on the same wavelength being a different party game entirely. We have Wonky, the unstable party game of building and watching things fall, and then we have Tapple After Dark, the After Dark version of the op's Tapple game, which I realize tells you nothing if you don't know what Tapple is already, and tells you everything if you know what Tapple is already. Let's go ahead and dive into those. Let's go in rough order of least to most favorite over here. We'll save the best for last. Let's start with Wonky. Wonky is a game of stacking things. You're going to be given cards which represent the assignments, and you're going to be given these little Wonky cubes over here. So let's dump those out. We have our Wonky cubes on the table, and then you have your cards that are the assignments. Each player is going to be given 7 cards in the game, so let's just grab a few of these over here, and you have your cards which give you the assignment you're trying to do. In this case, I have to go ahead and stack the large pink cube. So I'll take the large pink cube, we'll move it off to the side, and we'll place it down. This is the start of the foundation. Place it however I want in any orientation, keeping in mind that these cubes are exactly what they say. They're wonky. They have different little curvatures to them, making them more and more difficult to stack the higher you go. Another player goes ahead and plays their card, and they can play, in this case, this card's going to let them play any single blue cube. So in this case, let's take the small blue cube. It's nice and early. Let's put it on a very annoying angle. Right now it's still easy enough, but this is going to make it harder and harder as players play other cards. Next player plays a card. They can stack any color cube, any color, any size over here. That's going to be that one. They're going to take a yellow large and place it on top of the blue. This is going to get very wonky very quickly because, again, nothing here is actually fully stable. Next player takes a card. They have to play specifically the small yellow. They have to play the small yellow. They'll take it, and they'll try to place this on, and hopefully it won't collapse. It probably will collapse. No, it actually managed to stay standing. And we're going to keep going. Let's place a pink small on top of that. We're going to go ahead and place this down. It's got to collapse sooner or later. It's still, why is it still going? I don't understand why it's still going. We're going to place a blue large. Let's see what happens there. This is no way. There's no way on earth this is going to stay. There's no way. There's no. Okay, so it's gone. It's gone. That's basically Wonky. It's a stacking game. It's a stacking game where you're going to be trying to stack things and get rid of all your cards before the other players. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. There's so many better games in the stacking kind of genre of games. There's a lot of stacking games out there. This one is just passably fine. The cubes aren't significantly interesting. Check out a game called Junk Art if you want a actual wonky stacking game that is more interesting and clever than this one is. These cubes also, I feel there's a way to put these back in, but I don't. This is gonna bother me. I'm gonna have to do this right now properly because that's gonna otherwise bother my personal delicate sensibilities. But it's gonna result in me I'm doing this wrong. It's wrong. We're going to dump these in. Either way, this is Wonky, the stacking game. It's okay. The cards aren't that interesting. There's cards that will skip a turn or reverse direction. I will note as well, the game says it can be played solo, and there's no rules to adjust for how you would play solo, which I found personally a little off-putting, because it says you can play it solo, and there's literally cards that are like skip a turn and reverse, which make no sense in a solo structure. So I don't know what that's about. This to me feels like an easy game that was just created for the sake of having a game. There are better stacking games. The rules don't feel fully developed. It just kind of feels like they're like, hey, here's a game, and here's some rules, and they won't really cover all the edge cases because you don't really care. It's just a bunch of cubes that stack in each other. I just wasn't impressed by Wonky. I think here's my problem. Here's my problem with it. I think the game itself I wasn't super impressed by to begin with, but I can get over that as a matter of personal taste. When you combine a game that says it's a 1+ player game and the rules don't in any way cover how you deal with a 1-person game, despite the fact that there's skipping cards, like how does... I wasn't impressed. Was not impressed with Wonky. Wonky's going to get a 1.5 out of 5 for me. And part of that rating is being dinged because of the fact that the rules aren't even developed. I don't know. 1.5 out of 5. Wonky was not that impressive. The good news is that's by far the worst. From there, we're going to go ahead, and this is a tricky one because I don't love After Dark, but I do love Tapple, so where does this one go on the rankings? That's a tricky one. But I think we're going to go with Blank Slate. Blank Slate challenge over here. Blank Slate is a Blank Slate challenge. It's a different version of Blank Slate, which, again, if you know what Blank Slate is, that's very helpful. If not, not so much. The general idea of this game is you're going to be, in fact, actually, I don't even think I need to open the box of this one. In this game, what you're going to be doing is you're going to have these prompts. In fact, let's open the box. Let's open the box so we can play it together because I know what the back of the box says, and that would not let me do a proper prompt with you. Here we go. We got express, okay? Express is the word, and now you have your little card over here where you're going to be writing down what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and mimic this for you, and then you're going to play along with me, okay? So you're going to play along with me at home. We have something express. blank express, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down what I think the most likely option is. That's going to go in this box over here. And then the second most likely option. And I'm writing it down right now. You can go ahead and write down your own options. And keep in mind, I'm keeping in mind who I'm playing with, which is you, a gamer over here. I'm assuming you're a gamer. You're watching this video. But I got my options down. I have no idea if this would be good or not, but either way, here's my options, and you're my teammate right now. There is another team playing. We're ignoring them right now. It's you and I on the same team. Let's see what we did. I did Colt Express for the first option and Panda Express for the second option. Now, depending on what you did, here's how we're going to score. Let's say you had written Colt Express as well. If you had written Colt over here, then you'd get 3 points. I'd get 3 points. That's 6. If you wrote Panda for below, Panda, that's 2, and you get a bonus 2 points for everything perfectly matching. On the other hand, if you don't get the right order, let's say you had written Panda and Colt, then you would get Colt and Colt for 4 points, because 3 plus 1. You'd have Panda and Panda for 4 points, 3 plus 1. Because it didn't perfectly match, you wouldn't get the plus 2. Basically, you get 3 points for a top answer matching, 1 point for a bottom answer matching, but you do that on both sides, and you get a bonus 2 points if you were exactly the same. Basically, you can score a maximum of 10 points per round, and as little as 0 points. You can score either 0, 2, 4, 6, or 10 points in a single round. Do that for 10 rounds, see who has the highest points, and that's basically the idea. You're trying to be on the same page with your teammate. You and your teammate want to vibe. You want to answer the same things the same ways, ideally in the perfect matching order, and you'll score points when you do so. That's Blank Slate. It's fun. It's a fun game. It's always fun to play these games where you're kind of vibing on the same wavelength as your teammate. When you have those moments, I remember what was the last one I had? I had one, oh my gosh. It's going to bother me, but I remember I had one where I was like, there's no way the other person is going to put down what I put down, because it barely even counts as a word. And I did it, and we vibed perfectly. It was insane. It was a great moment. We are now best friends for life officially. We sealed it in blood and all that stuff. But you'll have those moments where you really are vibing, and it's about the vibes. Blank Slate's all about the vibes. And then also those fun moments where you and someone else on the other team perfectly vibe, but your own teammates didn't. You're like, you should have been on my team. It's a good party game. It does what it's supposed to do. It's a 3.5 out of 5 for me. I don't know if it wows me, but it is fun every time I play it. That's going to be Blank Slate Challenge. From there, we're going to go ahead to Tapple After Dark. And again, this is a slightly weird one for me to rank because I love the concept of Tapple. I think I'm not averse to playing. Between you and I'm not averse to playing an After Dark game. I have done so. I've had a lot of fun. If you don't know what After Dark is generally when you take usually a party game, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, and then you just make it dirty and call it After Dark. We have Telestrations. We have Telestrations After Dark. We have Codenames. Actually, that one's called Undercover, but it's Codenames After Dark. After Dark basically just takes a game concept and makes it dirty so that you can have that extra level of laughs and humor around it. I tend to not love that genre, with the caveat that at the right crowd, at the right point, in the right way, I can have a lot of fun with it. That said, this game over here, we currently are playing Tapple After Dark. I specifically chose a place that I chose a card that I think is tasteful enough to kind of give you an idea of what this game is without going into the full-on After Dark. But the idea of Tapple is you have this little board over here where you're going to hit a number. You hit that little, did I not do the batteries on this over here? Did I pull the battery slip on this? Or may not, and I've turned it on. You can have, there we go. So it was on the opposition. You have this box over here, you hit these things, and then when you do this, it pops all up. So what you're doing in general is you have a category, and the category, in this case we have places to hide a body. And so for example, I'm going to hit the freezer button, and hit the next button, and the next person has to hit the next thing. Meanwhile, there's an ongoing timer that's going to tick down, and eventually is going to spring and have you pop out all over the place. And so in this case, freezer, boom, okay? Well, I'm going to say, the woods, the W, okay, boom, hit that. And you're going to go round and around, but you've crossed out the W and the F, so you don't have those in play. Every time you give a new answer, we have the freezer, we have the woods, we have the refrigerator. Where's the F? Oh, I did the freezer. Refrigerator. R. Boom, hit that. You're going to be constantly trying to find new places where you can hide a body. A calyx shelf. I don't think you hide a body in a calyx shelf. Those things are wide open. But there are other shelves. You can hide it in the cabinet over here. Cabinet, boom. And so the basic idea, you're running out of letters, which makes it increasingly harder to come up with something when you're down to only a handful of letters, when you only have O, P, S, T, V, A, B, D, E. Where can you hide a body? Your doctor's office? I don't know if I'd count that. I don't know. You can figure it out. But you basically have a category, you have that, and then when you're done, you can go ahead and hit this. It all pops up, rinse and repeat with whatever the next card is. And again, this is Tapple After Dark, which means you'll have that slightly adult aspect to things, slightly more comical or whatnot. I think Tapple as a concept is a great game design. I love Tapple. It provides a degree of craziness to it. This is harder to open than I would like. I'm going to put that back properly later. Tapple, in general, provides a surprisingly fun amount of trying to think under pressure. It's not that things are that hard, it's that when you're under pressure, they are significantly harder, and you'll have a much harder time trying to figure out what is the last possible answer with only those 3 letters remaining. So Tapple as a general concept is one of those accessible party games, teaches in 2 seconds, plays very easily, and is always a lot of fun. Tapple After Dark, to me, is a unnecessary version of this. I think that when you have After Dark games, I think there are games that are better and worse at the After Dark part. This one, to me, doesn't feel like a game that needed it. It felt like a game that was doing just fine without it. That said, if you are looking for that adult humor aspect in your party game, it certainly does provide it. I'm going to give it an overall 3.5 out of 5. For me, I think Tapple, the base game, is better. Tapple After Dark is just the version of it for when you're drinking and hanging out with your friends and you want that slightly more adult humor to it. And then lastly over here, we have Dadada. Now this game is bizarre. It's interesting. It kind of works, although I don't know if I'd call it working as far as winning or all that. This game, and by the way, we're going to have complaints around the player count as well. We're going to get into that and the rules, but the game itself is better, so I am more forgiving. But basically, you have sounds in the game. The sounds. Yeah, you got sounds, because you need sounds. All games need sounds. That's how you communicate. That's how you talk to each other. But you also have item cards, which will get a bunch of these images and sounds and show you how the game plays. You're basically going to have 5 sounds in play. You're going to slowly unveil them. For the sake of this, I'm going to just unveil them quickly. We have qua and bip, and we have duh and sha and meep. Okay? But then you're going to have these words that you're going to use before the game even begins. You're working with your teammates to create these categories. So we have this, okay? I'm going to say that goes with meep, okay? I'm going to say that this goes with meep over here, and we have a chair. And keep in mind, when you play the game, you can't actually talk except to indicate agreeing or disagreeing. That's all you can really do. So you can go like thumbs up, you can nod your head, but there's no actual talking outside of meep, sha, qua, bip, and duh. Obviously, I think that qua is over here because, you know, IKEA and the ka sound, that's obviously going to be why we have a chair. We have a clock, which, clocks make little bip noises, okay? So we're going to make a little bip noise over there. We have the jump rope. Jump rope is like, that's wind. It's wind-based. So we're going to have sha. You're going to place out cards over here. We got a hatchet. Hatchet can go into the, it's a very sharp sound. We're going to go there. We're going to grab some more cards over here. We've got a few more. We have a briefcase. A briefcase is clearly, oh my gosh, I don't know. A briefcase is handheld. We're going to throw it in with the sha, but so is the axe. So maybe sha is just handheld things. That could be that. We have a giant rocket over here. A silo. It's a silo. It's not a rocket. A silo can be a building. Buildings are like duh. You're going to create these patterns. We have this over here. This feels comfortable. Ooh, I feel this should go into the sha sound. It's so comfy. This is so comfy. It's got to be, maybe we move the bip. I don't know. I'll put this in the sha and we'll move these. We'll move the duh. This is going to be IKEA. It's more furniture based. And the duh is going to be all the things that are handheld. Okay, we're rearranging this. Now keep in mind, I'm explaining my logic to you as I go. But in the game itself, you're just trying to agree or disagree with the other players. Now when you're done with all that, let's pretend we're done right now. You'd have more cards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw a single card. And I'm going to create. I'm going to have a mental idea of what this card is. So I see a card right now. I know what it is. I'm going to show it to the camera, but don't look. I won't show it. I'm not going to show it. I know what it is. I know what it is. I've seen it. Let's go ahead and draw a few more cards and shuffle it together. Because what you're going to do now is you're playing cooperatively with your teammates. You're going to shuffle that card up, and I have to figure out what I am calling that card. I think that I'm going to say that my particular thing, oh my gosh, is quabip. Okay, my particular sound that I'm giving, because you only use the sounds on the table, I'm saying a quabip. Quabip, that's what I'm saying, okay? So now you have to tell me, which of these things do you think is a quabip? Okay, that's the question. That's the question. What here goes into a quabip? And I'm going to let you pause it. I'm not going to tell you right now. I'm just going to pause it and let you decide. So which of those 5 things is a quabip? And if you answered the sun, you were correct. Why quabip? I don't know. Because the bip, because it's circular, like a clock, so it has that in common with the clock. The qua, it's kind of like large and structural, maybe. I debated doing a meep over here, because you could argue it's like a sound effect, but I didn't do a meep. Either way, quabip, meep could have done it. But that's the basic idea of the game. You create a language using, I believe, 13 cards, and then you try to see if you can get your teammates to guess correctly the cards that you played out. So here's the thing with this game. This game gets massive points for just how original and different it is. It loses points for 2 main things. The first thing it loses points for is literally, again, this is like the op, I don't know what's up with you. The games are good, but we have problems with the rules over here. It literally, unless I'm missing something, and I read it like 4 times, I could be wrong, it gives you a point structure. This game is playable from 2+ players. Okay, 2+ players. But the point structure of how you earn points would theoretically be impossible to hit the maximum points at 2 or 3 players. Basically, the game is over once you're wrong twice, but otherwise you each get 2 turns as the person guessing. And the maximum point you can get is 7 points, and you get points for each card that's right, which means that a 3-player game, you'd only have 6 turns, which means you'd have a maximum potential of 6 points, and yet the maximum point structure is like 7+ is the best score. Can you achieve it at 2 or 3 players? No. Not unless you artificially change the rules to change the number of rounds, which yes, I've done, because otherwise the game doesn't work. So I don't appreciate that once again the op gave a player count that doesn't align with the rules of the game. I think that is an oversight, and it's a stupid oversight because it means I have to sit there in this review and complain over an otherwise genius design over small things that are silly. No matter what the outcome, congratulations. Doesn't help. I want the actual win. Anyways, that's my first complaint. The second complaint is that there are certainly times, happens a lot if you play this game, where even though you manage to come up with a good combination of language and rules, that you still just get stuck with the random cards. There's too many random cards. There's too many random cards being thrown in amongst that one card that you actually chose, and that means frequently you're like, it's a shaboof, and you feel so proud of yourself. But then there's 2 vehicles that come out. You realize that a car is a shaboof because of your language. And the problem is a truck comes out right next to a car, and you're like, the teammates are like, I don't know, clearly the car. Like, we're all on the same wavelength, we're vibing, but like, it could be the car or the truck. And then they guess wrong. And that happens more than I would like. So I don't have an easy answer to that, but that kind of adds too much. Like when I think of games like So Clover or whatnot that kind of have this aspect where you add a random card, you can always get screwed over by a random card. But in this case, you're adding a bunch of random cards, you can get messed over by all of those, so I don't love that aspect. Outside of that, I don't even know how good the game is. But I can tell you that it's very different, very unique, and kind of fun. So it gets points for all of those things with the acknowledgement that the rules have a slight issue on the scoring, and the gameplay, even when it works well, you might still get stuck. But it is a very unique experience that I do recommend playing. I don't know if I feel it's a keeper kind of game, but I think it is kind of like one of those, it's a unique experience. It's a unique experience of a party game. That's going to be Dadada. I'm going to come in at a 3.5 out of 5. If there were other things that can kind of stop those, like that luck of the draw more so, the rules thing I think I can get over if the game are good, but that luck of the draw aspect and how it gets in the way of the game, if that wasn't present, it might even be a 4 because of the combination of how unique it is and how you actually can end up with some sort of weirdly cohesive language. There's 2 ways you play this game. One way is you don't really get any sort of shared consensus and you're on your own. The other way is you actually vibe, you actually come up with rules, and you make your own language in half an hour, which is a kind of mind-boggling experience. It's almost more of an experience than a game. Either way, I'm going to come in at a 3.5 out of 5. That's your 4 party games from the op. We have Wonky, which I kind of just feel doesn't work. We have Blank Slate, which is fun. Blank Slate Challenge, which is a fun version of Blank Slate. We have Tapple After Dark. I'd rather play Tapple, but it's still fun. It's Tapple. It still is Tapple. And then we have Dadada, the most unique one out of the bunch. And in the case of until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you appreciate this video. I hope you found this video helpful. And as always, I hope you have a good one.